guys, welcome to today's video. It's been a minute since I last picked up my camera to do a video. So guys, what has brought me here today? First of all, if you're new here, my name is Faith. Welcome to Queen Boss channel. I hope you subscribed and share, and don't forget to leave a comment to this video. So guess what, today we're doing a sit down talk with moi. I've never done this, so I'm going to try it for the first time and see how it's going to go. I'm going to do, as you read by the topic, I am going to do challenges that I've had being a female, at my age, and basically what I've experienced and some hacks that are going to help you guys. Okay, so let's take it back to when I was in high school. It all began when I was in high school, right? So this time I was I think in form 3, or in form 3. I won't mention the school I was in, but probably I've mentioned it in my previous videos. So when I was in form 3, it was around term 3 there, right, before COVID. So I had a friend. So this friend, actually, though we don't talk right now, I would still like to say thank you, because she really helped me at that time. So let me adjust this kidogo. So at this time, it happened that I was being bullied by my classmates, right? They were cornering me, not knowing what was going on. So this was what was going on. I was being in a boarding school, you have no one to consult with. The teachers you're afraid of telling the teacher what is going on, because you're afraid they'll go and talk about you in the staff room. So I kept it to myself. So I was on my periods, I think, that time, and then I was having a lot of itchiness around my coochie, right? So the first days it was not serious, so I was like, probably it's not something like that much, probably I need to take a shower. So I started taking a shower twice a day in school. Cold water. There was no hot water unless you go and borrow in the kitchen. So I used to shower with cold water. So I sacrificed, I'm in one of the cold places in Kenya, and I had to shower with cold water. But guess what, I had to shower twice with that cold water. So I was taking a shower with cold water twice, thinking that it would ease the itchiness and make me much more comfortable, considering I was in my periods. So this is so hard. I've never spoken about it to anyone. So I maintained it for like 3 days, and then I saw it, instead of even decreasing, it was increasing. It reached to a point I was itching, like in class the teacher would teach and I would try and get a comfortable position to, like, satisfy the itching. Like, don't get it wrong. So it became even too much, because my period would like extend. They would extend, and it's past 7 days and I'm still flowing. It even got me scared. So guess what, I went and took a biology book. I thought I had all of those sexually transmitted diseases, but guess what, I'm in a boarding school. I mean, I was like, I wasn't even understanding, because like I haven't had sex, I haven't encountered anyone's blood, so how am I even getting these things? So I go look at a book and I'm like, probably I have HIV. Dumbass me. I was like, probably I have HIV. But guess what, I didn't have HIV, because some of the symptoms over there I wasn't experiencing them. So I go to those STIs, I check gonorrhea, I check syphilis, I check sejini. It's not even got worse. So I even asked for the key to the computer lab to go and check. It's usually advised not to Google our symptoms, but guess what, I had to Google. So I went to the computer lab and Googled my symptoms, which was actually itchiness only. So after Googling, I saw how to ease itching in a natural way, because I went to go for medication. I didn't know how to explain it to our nurse, because our nurse, if you'd have gone there, she would definitely give you Panadol, and I had gone for those Panadol for like 20 times, but guess what, nothing was easing the itchiness. So I went to Google in the computer labs. So after Googling and all, so I learned that probably if I don't wear an innerwear, mind you, I'm on my period, so this was a risk, and our skirts were grey. So I was like, probably if I don't wear any innerwears and I go to the field more often and try and aerate my coochie. So this was so hard, going to the field to open your legs for the breeze, because according to Google it was like you need to aerate your coochie, because probably you have an infection. So me, I'm there. I go to the field at 4, which was a very rare thing for me to do. I went to the field and nika katu, and then I tried to put fold my legs like this, right, so that hewa ingie. So to a point it was satisfying. So then I go back to the computer lab, because I was like, hey, probably if I continue Googling it would help. So every 4 I used to go to the field and ensure that I aerate my coochie. So I learned from Google that if I actually pardon the business on my road, outside my house, it's kind of noisy. So I Googled that again, if I take antibiotics it would help, but I didn't know it antibiotics. So I went to the sanatorium and I was like, probably I should say I'm having cramps, because they definitely give me antibiotics. So I took the antibiotics. So mind you, I was just risking any sort of medication. I was trying to treat myself of something I didn't even know. So I'm there, I take my antibiotics. With time, it was like 2 weeks later, I was feeling much better. Then it's now I had now to increase again the chances of me taking a shower, because when I took a shower, it made me much comfortable for like 2 hours even. So I was, anytime I get an opportunity to go back to our dormitories, I used to go back and shower. Mind you, my classmates are still on my neck. Every class meeting, it's all about me, and it was so hard. Like, it was so hard, because you have stress for class, your exams are closed, you're in form 3, your exams are closed, classmates are stressing you, and then again there's your body that is actually reacting. I was not even eating well. I had lost weight, a lot of weight at that time, and when I used to come home, my mom would say, hey, umekonda chini nini, but I couldn't tell her what was going on. So me, I go back to school again. It was like midterm. I went back to school. I was feeling much better, because at least I had like a time out to go home and have that time to like keep on showering and even aerate it much better. So it got better. A year later, in like 2021, yeah, when was it 2021? No, 2019. Now I was in form 4, right? So I just entered form 4. Yeah. Was it after? No, it was it before COVID? No, that was after 2020. Yeah, fast forward to 2020. So we went to school. No, back at home. Yeah, it was during COVID. So during COVID, I missed my periods for about 6 months, right? So I missed my period for 6 months. So it was even getting scary. I told my mom, but you know, like African parents, she would definitely ask, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? But for me, my conscience was very clean that I wasn't. So we didn't even take it seriously at that time. When I said I hadn't seen my periods for 6 months. So we kept quiet. Like now after those 6 months, my periods came, and they were so dramatic. They were so dramatic. So I started like having an extraordinary flow. Like, it was so much, and it was so painful. Like, I would change my pad. Like, in a span of 2 hours, I would use like 1 pad. So in every 2 hours, I had to change my pad. Then it reached a point, in every hour, I had to change my pad. And I wasn't even wearing the thin ones. I was wearing the thick ones, like those maxi long ones. Yeah, those ones. So I'd wear them, and then I'd have very serious cramps. I couldn't sit. Even that 1 hour when I was even changing my pad, my periods would pass. Like, this one time, I was having a tuition teacher, because it was during COVID and I hadn't done my form 4, and I was in form 4, and our exam period was not determined. Like, yeah, it wasn't like clear when we would go back to school and do the exam. So I used to have a tuition teacher from Nairobi school, and so after the lesson, this one day, I realized that I'm feeling kind of soily on my seat. So I stood up, and I had messed my seat. Like, I had messed my seat. I used to do tuition in the house, because it was COVID and my parents didn't want me to interact with the outside world sana. So I used to do tuition in a SQ. Yeah, SQ. So this day, I went and showed my mom, hey mom, I'm really overflowing. Now, I had flown for like I think it was 2 weeks now, which was an alarm, because on a regular basis, I used to flow for like let's say 4 days, and then it would go. But now it was 2 weeks, more than normal. So I went and told my mom. Then my mom was like, let's give it 4 more days. 4 more days, it's 2 weeks and a half. I'm still flowing extraordinarily. Like, I had cramps and all. My mom started googling. Hey, she was even getting me more scared. So she was googling, and then it was giving her, maybe she has cervical cancer, fibroids, and you know, these big terms, these big words. So she would tell me, hey Amma, let's go to the hospital. So we go to the first. She took me to her gynecologist in Upper Hill. I remember it was in Upper Hill. So the doc, my mom said jokingly, let's test if she's pregnant. So I'm like, can I be Mary? I conceived through the Holy Spirit. Then I was like, nah. So we did the what's it called, the test with like a strip. I remember it was like a strip, yeah. So we tested, and then it was negative. So the doctor was like, maybe she, that doctor, wow. So he was like, let's go and check. Probably she has like some clots. Guess what? He took me to like those to like a small, this place is where I usually taken, like in the doctor's office. Ikona like a curtain. It has like a curtain, so akanipeleka hapo. And then my mom was like on the other side. So he took a lubricant. Oh my god, I had never seen a lubricant. And then he applied like on the gloves, and then he inserted his hands over chin, and then I was like, oh my god, that was the most uncomfortable thing ever. Like that was the most uncomfortable feeling ever. And then he was just there, he was doing like this, and I was like, oh, like it was so uncomfortable. Like I don't know if you go to this gynecologist, my god, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but for me it was very uncomfortable. And then so my mom was on the other side. She didn't know what was going on. So yeah, so I'm here with the doctor, and then he finished. He was like, hey, I'm not finding anything, so let's do this. Let's give her 2 more days. If it doesn't stop, you'll come back. 2 days passed. I'm still flowing. This is now 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We're nearing a month. So those 3 weeks have passed. Then I go home. Then my mom continues Googling. She did a checkup. Now the good thing about this one, she was like, are you comfortable me checking you physically, which is inserting with the lubricant, or are you comfortable with me just pressing your tummy? I was like, does it give the same answer? She was like, yes. So I was like, okay, let's just check my stomach. Like there's a way they usually press your abdomen. So she pressed it, and she was like, yeah, I'm not feeling anything, let's do this, let me send you to the lab, you do some checks, and then you'll come back, and then I'll analyze your blood test. So I go back home because we needed money. It was like a lot of money. It was in Nairobi Women. So yeah, so we went back home. Then my mom had, guess what, my mom had to tell my dad. I don't know, I've never had the conversation of my periods with my dad or anything. So that night my dad comes. My dad comes home. I remember it was on a Friday, so he came, no, it was on a Saturday, so he came home early. It was like at 8, and then he calls me. He's like, Faith, your mom tells me you're sick. What is going on? Talk to me. So I'm like, talk to you about what? About my period? About my period? Oh hell no. I was like, no, I'm sick, but the doctor said they can handle it, and if you just give me some money for lab tests, I'm going to be okay. My dad is like, my mom is telling me. I'm like, what did this mom of mine tell you? So I'm like, kind over there, and then my dad was like, she's telling me you're bleeding, your woman. Kwanza he said, unamwaga damu kushinda kawaida. So I was even confused. I was like, now what do I even say? Like, what do I even tell him? Do I tell him about my periods? But I'm like, no, we've never had this discussion with him. Being an African dad, and in the African society, I don't think the fathers are usually open to such kind of topics. It's usually left to the mothers to actually handle that because they are more conversant with it. So here's my dad telling me about my periods. They were my insecurities, but guess what? He had to know because he had to, you know, fund for my hospital bills. So at that time, we had not applied for like a medical card or anything. We had no insurance at the moment. So my dad was now there insisting, Auntie, just talk to me. You know, I'm your father. You know, and I'm like, guy, I've never, even about boys, I don't even talk about it. So how am I supposed to start talking about, how am I even supposed to start talking about such a thing? So he's there telling me, your mom is telling me you've gone to different hospitals and your periods are not normal. Then he's like, so you have bled for 4 weeks? And then I'm there like, yeah. 4 weeks. I'm like, yeah. For 4 weeks you have been bleeding. Are you feeling okay, my daughter? And then I'm like, it's even becoming more like, I felt like it was something abnormal. I didn't even want people to know. And now that my dad knows, it was even much more uncomfortable. So he now knows. And then I was like, well, I just have to tell him the basics because I couldn't like tell him no, because he had to fund my hospital, and they told me that earlier I had to get treatment would like hasten the process of me getting better faster, and they would know the cause and now treat it even faster. So he's like, okay, anything you need, even pads, even what, if you need anything, you just count on me. I'm going to give you money, but ensure you don't bleed like that, and then you don't tell me. I was like, what? So when I start my period, I should be telling you. I was like, nah. So I'm just there laughing. Yeah. Then he's like, okay. So I stood and left quickly. The following day we went to the hospital, we checked. They found I had hormonal imbalance, which is normal. That's one thing I actually want to tell girls or ladies out there, mostly my age. I know it's hard for us to talk about our periods and the challenges we usually encounter with them. So it's very normal to have hormonal imbalance, mostly if it's in your genes. If your mom or grandparent had it, it's very normal for you to have it. It's like very okay. But if you miss your periods, you don't always count on hormonal imbalance. So yeah, this was hormonal imbalance. So the doctor's like, it's very okay for you to have hormonal imbalance. It's basically caused by changing climate, changing food, like a lot of things, hormones in your body, you get. So me, I'm there, and then I don't know, it's getting darker, so I have to move you guys closer. So yeah, so the doctor was like, I'm going to medicate you, I'm going to write some prescription for you, and you're going to take for a while. Okay, so I'm like, okay. Yeah, I took the medicine for a while, so it worked. My periods left, like I think it only took 2 days, and then I didn't have my periods at all. They were like gone. I was like free and happy. But guess what, I didn't know that these medicines later on would have an effect. So I never used to have like cramps, like serious cramps, the one that I usually see people falling on the floor, crawling and all. So I go back to school now. This is after COVID, after all that drama and all. So I go back to school. It was like an impromptu. Form 4s had to go back to school. We were like lab rats to see if the system would go back to normal. It was after, like, they had loosened the regulations for COVID, so now we could go back to school kidogo. So we go back to school, and then the first term I started having, it was like now third term. It was like now third term. I am having pins and needles. So it was like now third term. So we go back to school, and then there's this day I had like serious cramps, like serious. She was sitting and I couldn't even sit up. So I was like, hey, what's going on? I felt like someone is pulling me down. So I was like, hey, I would sit like this, and then the teacher would ask, why are you not sitting upright? I'd be like, hey, it's because I'm having a lot of pain. So the teachers at times would be like, pana wewe hiyo ni cramps, wewe ni msichana unafaa ushazoea nini. So I'm like, it's fine. So I sit in class. So it was like 3 days later, it now got worse. It now got like, it was so painful. I was getting dizzy. My periods were back, and they were like too much and so much clot. I couldn't even explain it. So I go to the nurse the first time. The nurse gives me Panadol. The second time, Panadol. Third time, Panadol. And then it was getting too much. So I went and searched for this teacher. Her name was Miss Gala. So I asked her, could you call my mom? Because I'm bleeding too much, and the last time I had this, we went to the hospital. So the teacher called my mom. So my mom was like, hey, okay, can she get like a sick bill and go to the hospital and get checked? So we go to the hospital, we go to the nearest hospital, and they're like, we need to send you for a scan. So they sent me for a scan. I go for this scan, and then yeah, it showed that I had a cyst. I don't remember where I kept those things. I would have shown you guys. So I had a cyst. So this cyst, it was kind of like not big, not small, but it was there, and it was kind of growing. So I took it back to the hospital, and then they were like, hey, you have a cyst and you need to take care of it now, before instead of us ignoring it and it gets big and then we couldn't handle it with a later stage. So there I am. I'm freaked out. There's a cyst. My periods, the doctor was like, you'll have to bear with the periods because your hormones are not moving in a regular graph. There's like a graph according to how your hormones are supposed to shift. So mine are not even operating in a normal curve because of the hormonal imbalance. That's why the cyst was actually taking advantage. That's why I had serious cramps. You get it? So I get medication, and then I go back to school. It was just the same thing. So people started asking, hey, why is she going now in the class? People were like, I was hearing rumors that, oh, probably she's pregnant. Those things are so discouraging, because every now and then people are like, hey, maybe she's pregnant. I used to hear so many rumors. So anyway, so I was like, I just need to get done with school. So I finished school. That doctor helped. He gave me a few medicines and all, so I got better. But guess what? It was so disheartening that these are girls talking about you and they don't know about their lives. So some of them used to talk so bad about me, like they're like, probably huyu anajifanya, probably huyu she's pregnant, you know, because at that time we had a lot of incidences in school of girls getting pregnant. So people used to say she's pregnant, because most of the time my mom would come, I would meet my mom in the hospital, or I'd meet a relative, right? So people used to talk. I had so many rumors, and at that time I even got depressed because I remember it was nearing my exams, yeah, and so many people, like I had so many rumors in the school, so many rumors going on, that she's bleeding more than normal, I remember someone saying probably Nico Illuminati. Oh my god, I swear, some of those things are just like, I was feeling off. Like, it was so depressing. You pass somewhere, everyone is like, sorry. I'm like, what? Kumbe, our nurse had told a student about me, and this student went and told someone else, and then this, you know the way rumors usually go, this one leaves this information and adds her own information, this one leaves her own information and adds her. So by the time those rumors even get to you, you get to hear so many stories, like so many stories. I'm thankful to my cube mates, because they were so helpful. They're the only ones who understood what was going on. My cube mate Mary, Baroness, Lynette, those ones were so understanding. So they're like, let's help you. My cube mate used to help me at that time, because I would miss classes because of the cramps, and I used to sleep in the sanatorium. So she would like do for me the notes, and then she'd help me with the quizzes in the evening. She would help me understand what was taught during the day when I was away, because I used to go to the hospital frequently. So yeah, so I finished Form 4, and I had none of that, right? So fast forward to university, just the other day, like last week. Now my sis actually went. It healed, it healed, it became, I got back to normal and all. But I was told by the doctor that due to the medicines I was taking, my bacteria would go low, so I'd be prone to some of these infections, some of these yeast infections and all. So now yeast infection now. So now I came to realize, back then in high school when I used to go for aeration and all, that was yeast infection, and which was not well medicated. So it was kind of like talking like this with my Kenyaji way of googling. So just the other day, like, I got a yeast infection. I want to tell people, yeast infections are very normal. Like, it's just a problem of the bacteria, which for us ladies, we are supposed to have a certain amount of bacteria on our coochie, which cleans our system. So that's why I usually advise to take yogurt frequently, so that it can assist you and so that it can help you, you know. So last week I had like a yeast infection. I didn't want to tell anyone. I'm that type of shuri who I don't like, when it comes to my personal life, I don't like telling it out, and I don't like anyone invading. So I had like a yeast infection. I'd like to tell you guys, never Google your symptoms. Never Google your symptoms. You're going to get the wrong remedies, like the wrong remedies. So when you have a yeast infection, I went home and my mom, actually how to know you have a yeast infection, it gets really itchy, and then you have like and you know the normal discharge for us girls is usually milky white. It's usually like milky white, and then it's like sticky, right? That's normal discharge. But the normal one, it's usually like dry white like discharge. It's kind of like dry. So I had that, and then it was so itchy, and then it's so bad when you're in your periods and then you have it becomes really uncomfortable. So what I did, I googled, and then Google actually did me wrong. And whenever I did whatever Google was asking me, it was making things worse, basically because I was giving myself wrong diagnosis for the wrong thing. So I went home and told my mom about it, and she was like, she gave me this, like, so whenever you have like that itchiness and you're sure it's yeast infection, get me right, you're sure it's yeast infection, I can recommend like this one. It's called, like, I don't know if it's going to focus. Yeah, it's called Candid. You get, it's called Candid. So like this one, you apply it on, like, on the lips of your coochie. Like, you apply, right? You apply like this, and then that's after showering, and you've dried it like completely. So like you dry it, like you apply it on the lips of your V. And then where is it? So like when I went home, my mom was like, hey, you're supposed to take this if your urine is not like, it's not like good color, like this, the normal color of urine. And then there's a way a woman, your urine usually says a lot about your system. So if you have a colored urine, let me show you. So this is like what she gave me. I don't know if you can see, camera focus. So it's called Cytol. You like put one tablespoon in a glass and then mix it with water, and then you take it. It's going to ease your itchiness, and then again it's going to clean your system, and your urine is going to become normal. Once a day. So guys, that is my story time about my experience being a woman and having periods and having very scary things. Those are the things that actually scared me being a girl. Yeah, I didn't know that this comes as a package of being a girl, but anyway, that's also good of being a girl, you know. Anyway guys, that was it for today. I hope you guys have learned a lot. that it's very, 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 very okay, and very okay for you to have like some of these things. You get, for as long as you get help as soon as possible. You get me? You get me? So that was it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time.